how we're innovating around this idea of operational productivity. Another, which you'll find a lot in this year's conference about, is this idea of addressing payments and security. And then the third area that I want to discuss and share with you a little bit is how we're working together to find ways to innovate differently in terms of creating a unique guest experience. So let's talk about that first, the idea of enabling operational productivity. The challenge, I think, when we look at the mobile devices that are in circulation, and the fact that I think every 6 months, depending on who you're aligned with, whether it's Windows, it's Android, or it's iOS, every 6 months it feels like something new is showing up on the market. And as a result, you end up with a variety of different devices, and I think you read different statistics that'll say things like the average person has well over 2 or 3 different devices they carry. In the restaurant world, how can we drive more productivity with fewer devices? Well, when we looked at how we need to innovate differently to address that challenge, one of the things we did was reach out to our global centers of excellence across the world, and specifically the one in Salzburg, Germany, that has been developing and supporting mobile devices for quite some time. For those of you who may not be familiar with some of these products, NCR acquired Orderman several years ago, and Orderman has been a provider of mobile technology in restaurants for quite some time. On the far left, you see an image of an Orderman Max, one of the earlier generation products. And some of you may be, in fact, using a solution that looks something like this, the Orderman Soul, the second image you see there. Now, the thing about those devices is they were designed to serve a very specific purpose: to enable guests, or excuse me, to enable servers to interact with guests in a more efficient and more effective way. But in the end, those devices are really single-function devices. Contrast that with the commercial market. Commercially built, as we talked about earlier, as I mentioned earlier, things that are changing very rapidly, they're multi-function devices. Would you buy a smartphone if it only made phone calls? So the opportunity for us is to look at both of those capabilities. How do we take our expertise and legacy in what we've been able to do around built-for-purpose devices for the industry and create an option that's a multi-function option? So what's that look like? Some of you may have seen this or read about it. There's opportunities as you go about the solution fair in the next couple of days to interact and to see this. But what I'm holding is an Orderman 7 device. And as I pull up the screen, you'll see something that's very, very similar to what you're used to seeing with the current generation solution. And as a server, I've got the capability to add items to an order, maybe go ahead and add an appetizer, and then add an entree. Now, as a server, when I come to the table and look at payments, the guest might say, hey, I received a promotion. I had an offer to come in. Now, sometimes that might be in the form of a coupon or a code, and the server goes back to the terminal and interacts with the POS terminal to enter that. Well, this particular version of this device actually has a built-in scanner. So as a server, maybe I have the opportunity to ask the guest if they can provide their special offer, and if I can scan that offer, and immediately apply the discount. So I'm using a device that drove a lot of value in terms of order accuracy, and I'm now trying to drive that further into the interaction with the guest in the form of payment, application of discounts. So we've got a great opportunity to spend more time in front of the guest and interact and create that unique guest experience. So that by itself is certainly a way that we've extended the value of this device and extend the value of the device as a multifunction device. But what if that device could do more than just interact with guests at the table? What if that device had access to maybe an NCR store that had more and more of our applications, maybe an inventory application, or maybe in some future state, maybe a set of partner applications, much like you do with your commercial devices, but done so in a way that's secure and tied to the intent of the OrderMan device. So in this example, I'm actually running Pulse Real-Time. The same Pulse Real-Time that many of you use, that you've seen, that you interact with. But I'm basically taking this built-for-purpose device, extending the capabilities for today as a multi-function platform. But I think what's most important to think about is that when you invest and think about investing in a platform like this, how are we going to address the challenges of the future? And sometimes those challenges, in fact, most of the time, we don't know what those challenges are. So if you have interest in learning more about the OrderMan device, I'd encourage you to attend Brian Simicich's sessions tomorrow. There's 2 sessions scheduled. As I said earlier, they'll be available in the Solutions Fair. It's a great opportunity to see the device, interact with the device, maybe share some ideas you have around maybe some problems that a device like that could solve. So that's the first example, looking at the productivity, employee mobility.